Holy City Center Radio is episode 129, and I am your host, Christian Sanger. Today is Wednesday, May 31st, 2023. Well, the weekend is over. I'm assuming you all are back to work, just like I am. Hope you enjoyed your 3-day weekend if you had one. The weather didn't really cooperate, but, there was a few moments, and then Monday wasn't too bad, but rainy prior to that for the most part. But hopefully you had a good time out there. My weekend, pretty quiet, nothing really exciting to report back on. I did end up watching some of the shows I mentioned in the last episode, the finale of Succession. I'm not going to give any spoilers, but I was pleased with it. I thought they did a really good job with it. And then I also watched the finale. And I should say, these are series finales. I might have said season, but no, these series are over. So Succession is now done. And the series finale of Barry, which is a show that stars Bill Hader, Henry Winkler, Stephen Root, and some others, that also ended its, I think, 4-season run. Such a great show. It's like this weird thriller comedy. I just really enjoyed it. I thought everybody involved in that show did an amazing job, and the finale was pretty good as well. So sad to see those shows go, but I'm glad. Sometimes it's nice, even though you really love a show, and they wrap it up, they finish it when it's still getting good ratings instead of kind of petering off and people stop caring about it after a while. So I'd rather they go out on top than stick around too long. And I think both of those shows did a great job of that, although I'm sure they could have, easily done a couple more seasons and gotten good ratings. But sad to see them go. Happy with the finales. Perhaps you watched them as well. Let me know on, social media and whatnot, what you thought. Excited to see, what you all felt or what you may be watching instead of those. But enough of that. Let's get into the latest news. Lindsey Graham has an arrest warrant out, but it's in Russia, so nothing's probably going to happen. Russia's Interior Ministry has issued an arrest warrant for Senator Lindsey Graham, of course, one of our Republican senators here in the state of South Carolina. This comes after he praised U.S. military aid to Ukraine as the best money we've ever spent. Russian officials reacted to a video of Graham meeting on Friday with Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky, in which Graham acknowledged, quote, Russians are dying, and then later said, quote, it's the best money we ever spent, as I mentioned before. Graham appeared to make the comments in different parts of the conversation, which was edited and posted on Zelensky's social media account. So he didn't say those things back to back, but the implication was that Russians dying was the best money we ever spent. Not surprisingly, Russia took exception to that. Senator Graham on Monday said that it brought him immense joy to know that his support for Ukraine has drawn the ire of Russian President Vladimir Putin's regime. He also said that he will wear the arrest warrant issued by Putin's corrupt and immoral government as a badge of honor. This was all in some tweets that he had sent out. So, yes, Putin has put out a arrest warrant. Really, Russia in general. They do this from time to time. You've probably seen headlines like these, and obviously it goes nowhere. And Graham's trying to have some fun with it. But yeah, seeing a arrest warrant issued for Lindsey Graham, initially I was like, oh my gosh, is this related to the Georgia election interference probe that's going on? And then I realized, oh no, this is just Russia. So nothing's going to happen. But I don't think we'll be seeing Lindsey Graham in any Russian jails anytime soon. The Charleston County School Board has voted to enter contract negotiations with a candidate for its superintendent role. The board voted 6-2 to begin talks with Dr. Eric Gallion. He is a superintendent currently from Racine, Wisconsin. He was given an opportunity to speak to the community last Thursday night and answer questions from a focus group. He wasn't allowed to talk to the media, though. Dr. Gallion is 53 years old. He grew up in a low-income Milwaukee household. He was the son of a single mother. After graduating from high school, he enlisted in the U.S. Marines, where he served from 1987 to 1995, seeing combat during Operation Desert Storm. After an honorable discharge from the Marines, he found his calling for education after volunteering in a local school. And he says that he realized he could make a difference in the lives of young people, just as some teachers have done for him. So it appears, barring any holdup with the contract discussions, there will be a new superintendent for the Charleston County School District. But it wasn't without a little bit of drama. It turns out that the top candidates somehow leaked to a Facebook group, which led to some of them deciding to withdraw their names. The board released a statement that said, quote, to our dismay, this past Tuesday evening, now we're talking about last week, just FYI. All right, back to their quote. Before the top three candidates' names and resumes were ready to be put forth publicly, a Facebook group leaked their names. That release, the district said, caused, quote, confusion and frustration, end quote, among the candidates, resulting in two of the three withdrawing. Nothing could ever go simple in this state, it seems. So they had a list. They were going to release them publicly. For whatever reason, someone leaked the names on some Facebook group. And that once that word got out, uh, a couple of the people who were still in the running decided to withdraw their names. So always got to be a little bit of drama. But in the end, it looks like the board got the person that they wanted. Pretty interesting story involving a famous court case. Civil rights leaders here in South Carolina plan to petition the U.S. Supreme Court to rename the landmark Brown versus Board of Education decision that outlawed segregation of public schools across the country. Over the next 3 months, a group representing past plaintiffs and their descendants plans to file paperwork asking the High Court to reorder the set of five 1954 cases that led to the Brown ruling. This is according to a report from the Post and Courier. The group, which has teamed up with a lawyer in Camden, South Carolina, wants to replace Brown v. Board of Education of Topeka with a South Carolina case that was filed earlier but is nowhere near as well known. The case, Briggs versus Elliott, is a South Carolina case named after Harry Briggs, one of 20 parents who brought a lawsuit against Clareton County School Board President R.W. Elliott. The group sees the name change as a way to restore South Carolina as the cradle of the movement to desegregate public education, which they believe that's how it should be recognized. The Briggs case, which was filed in May 1950, was the first such case to be taken to a federal court. Meanwhile, the Brown case, the more famous one, came nearly 9 months later. So, they have no idea if it's going to be renamed. One of the people behind it even said in this article that they may be laughed out of court, but they felt it was appropriate to try to have, the fact that there were multiple lawsuits, theirs was the first, have that be part of the name so people associate it with desegregating schools. Like I said, don't know if it'll happen. I don't think this has ever been asked before. I've never seen anything like that. And the articles I have read about it, no one mentions anyone ever trying to rename a landmark case. So we'll see where it goes. But I think it's interesting that one, they're asking to rename it, and two, the people who are doing it are trying to do so based on a court case here in South Carolina. So obviously it has local ties. So very interesting. We'll see what happens there. I'll be sure to share information. Some sad news in our next story. A 25-year-old firefighter from South Carolina has died after part of a burning apartment building collapsed while firefighters were inside. Authorities said James Muller of the Irmo Fire District died Friday while he was providing aid during the response to a fire at the Tropical Ridge Apartments in Columbia. WLTX TV reports that Muller, who is from Columbia, was one of 7 firefighters who were taken to the hospital after the collapse. The fire is currently being investigated by the Columbia Police Department, SLED, and the Richland County Fire Marshal's Office, amongst other agencies. Obviously, a very tragic story, and thoughts and prayers are absolutely with the fire department, with the town, county, family, and friends. Just a horrible story, and just a reminder of how dangerous not just firefight fire not just a reminder of how dangerous fighting fires can be, but also many situations involving first responders, the people who are there first and sometimes run into danger to try to save us, and collectively us, of course, from danger. So a very heroic job that these folks have, and unfortunately it sometimes turns tragic like this one. Last story is about the Carnival Cruise Line. Passengers aboard the Carnival Sunshine were dealt with a scary end to their vacation as the cruise ship hit rough seas while trying to return to Charleston. Following several days in the Bahamas, which I'm sure were incredible, things shifted when the captain aboard the Carnival Sunshine made an announcement saying that they were going to experience some bad weather. Turns out that was a bit of a understatement. Passengers who were on board have told media all sorts of things were happening when this ship hit this horrible weather, which included rain, of course, thunder, lightning, pretty big waves. They said they noticed things like bottles of liquor started crashing onto the floor in one bar that people were in. People were seen crying in the stairwells. They were just so frightened about this whole situation. There was reports of shattered glass in different areas, water pouring into rooms and into hallways, the ship, pitching to one side after being hit by, some rough waves. So just a really frightening experience, I'm sure. There's different quotes out there from passengers and videos and things that you can find online. There's one video I saw that, one hallway was just flooding with water. It wasn't super deep by any means, but it was clearly rushing water was, a few inches on the floor. There's some other broken, pictures of broken things around the ship, and there's been some quotes, that one passenger claims that a Carnival employee said it was by far the worst storm they've ever been in. So all around, just a very frightening situation. A few passengers did praise the cruise line. They know there's not much they could have really done about a storm like that, save for going all the way around it. I don't know if that was possible, but there was some praise saying the crew did the best they could and kept them as safe as they could considering the conditions. So that is good to hear as well. But yeah, that's you always hear about people going out on cruises and you hear about bad weather. They usually like go around it if they can, but apparently that wasn't an option. It ended up delaying the return to Charleston as well. And because of the damage, there was a delay, and wherever their next stop was going to be, these ships bounce around to different ports and whatnot. So they had to get that fixed and some of that water damage repaired. Glad that in the reports it seems that any injuries or issues were minor and were dealt with on the ship. I'm sure there were some people feeling a little seasick, but nothing serious, it appears, happened. So all things considered, not a great end to the trip, but everybody thankfully safe and made it back to shore in one piece. Well, that'll do it for this edition of Holy City Center Radio. Can't believe it is almost June. Tomorrow, it's going to be June already. We're at the midway point of the year. That is insane. It is just all of a sudden, like I said in a past episode, a recent episode, I should say, that time is just, it feels like it picked up. It was moving along decent, but I just feel like these last few months have just motored right on by. Can't believe it. I was surprised looking outside and seeing it was still daylight at 8. I was like, "All right, we're in the summer months now." It's long days, more opportunities to be outside and enjoy the weather, and finally we're out of that, that fall and winter time where it gets dark so early, which I know all of you probably hate too, but just blowing my mind that we're on the doorstep of June already. Regardless of your feelings on how the year is going, I hope you have a good rest of your week. Thank you so much for listening. If you want to support the podcast, please rate, review, like, subscribe, whatever you can do on the streaming platform you're currently listening on. Please do that. It helps out a great deal. You can also go to holycitycenter.com/shop to pick up some merchandise, or go to go to patreon.com/holycitycenter, where you can sign up for one of those tiers. I also want to thank Cole Collins with LMC Sound System for producing this and every episode of Holy City Center over the past few episodes, and he will continue doing so going forward. I appreciate his assistance, as well as Lindsey Collins, who owns that business. And a big thank you to Tyler Boone, who has always provided music in each and every episode of these episodes. So thank you to Tyler. And as I said, thank you to all you. Stay safe. Enjoy the rest of your week. I'll be back on Friday to start talking about the weekend. So until then, good night and good luck.